For my college assignment, I've decided to review a game called Hell is Other Demons. This game is described as a bullet hell, and after playing it, I'd say that it barely reaches that threshold of being one, but regardless, it's still a great game. I should start with the story, in that there is none, in which, like Doom, it serves only to give a purpose to why you're doing what you're doing. Essentially, demons are enslaved by another demon, go get them. The combat is the focus here. Movement is nice and snappy, jumping is very fluid and freeing with the addition of a hover if you hold the button, and an invincible dash that goes in all directions on a cooldown. Movement supplements the combat well. Combat is satisfying when you get the hang of it. You can shoot in all directions, you can stomp on enemies to stay in the air, and you can charge special weapons if you kill demons or pick up a cross-looking thing that gives you a full charge. This game was made with a controller in mind because it wants you to aim at enemies while moving in an opposite direction, but keep in mind that I didn't use one. Their solution on keyboard is satisfactory. Aiming uses a sluggish cursor, aiming in the direction you push, as expected, but at first it feels sluggish because pressing an adjacent direction to where you're aiming fine-tunes the angle of your shot to be able to hit precise angles. A really interesting solution that I wish was explained to me at the beginning of the game. The main gameplay loop is killing demons to advance through waves to beat levels so that you can advance on the world map to kill bosses, get these crystals, and open a portal to the final boss. The map is organized into nodes, where some nodes are actually shops instead of fights. Each shop in the game is different, and since the map is quite small, it's easy to access each shop, save for the shop in the final area that you have to enter the portal to every time. These shops sell different abilities that you can buy and equip, although you have an ability limit, and each ability has a cost assigned to it that dictates how powerful you can be. You can buy limit increases at the store, but unless you really like the combat, you are most likely going to have to choose between abilities sparingly. To buy abilities, you use gems that you get by killing enemies. Collecting gems is easy because you magnetize them while you aren't shooting. Not shooting in a bullet hell game. This creates an interesting choice. Is it worth leaving enemies to shoot while you pick up gems, or do you kill them, risking uncollected gems? Gems hover in the air after killing enemies, but shortly fall to the usually dangerous ground, and considering how expensive things are, can you afford to lose them? Along with abilities, you can also buy different specials and weapons that can make you stronger. It really gives you a sense of strength when you get a lightning spear that fits perfectly into a playstyle that kites enemies, one-shots most things, and maxes out the gems that you collect. It also minimizes the amount of recoil you take, since each weapon pushes you back when you fire, which is kind of dumb, but they have an item for that. Meanwhile, the specials are decent, but you might not want to use them because this game has challenges for each level, but they're all just hitless, no special usage, and for not using a weapon. I think it's padding in its purest form, just to give you something to do after doing everything, because this game is a little short. I was never going to go above a required 5 hours to beat it, but I still ended up beating it. But in my defense, I think some people might take a while to finish it, because I'm not sure if you've noticed, but this game is really hard. Sometimes you need lightning quick reflexes to react to some of the stuff they throw at you. You need to be great at 2D platformers to traverse some of these stages, and you need a solid game sense to keep track of enemies off screen shooting at you. That's another reason why this game's difficult. It's hard to see anything because it's way too close. The camera is a real issue considering that almost every level can fit comfortably on a vertical iPad screen. It seems like a waste, especially when something ultra fast off screen hits you for 1 billion damage. The Hell Priest looking guys are the most NES game length difficulty padding thing in this whole game. The lightning gun I mentioned earlier, they still take 3 shots. They have an attack that covers half the screen and does double damage, they teleport, and they're present from day one, from the first area all the way to the last. I settled on using an ultimate on them if they ever showed up. The last difficulty-inducing thing is the art direction. The game uses a Game Boy Color aesthetic of only a few colors at one time, while simultaneously using pixelated 3D rendered effects, and it's really good. The monsters also have excellent designs that mix a cartoonish set of base demons with more detailed, horrifying ones for bosses and shopkeepers, and neither break the tone of the game. But for the love of God, I can't see anything. A limited color palette means they can't distinct enemy and player bullets with colors. The details of the stages and the enemies and all the different attacks on the screen combined with the terrible camera makes this a game you need to map out in your head to play. So it's good that the music to accompany that is great. It uses an electro rock aesthetic reminiscent of Doom, keeping you flow as you play. The UI is also really smooth and snappy, and I have to reiterate, those pixelated effects are a chef's kiss. Art direction also affects stage design, and the stages in this game are tightly designed, because despite their small size, each stage is unique, whether it's the layout of the platforms or the gimmick of that stage, like lasers. Some stages even come with as little ground as possible, highlighting your ability to fly with dashes. My favorite boss, the Devourer, has you running away in a side-scrolling section, and spoilers, the final boss has you jumping up platforms like Hollow Knight to finish. The game ends just as fast as it started, essentially saying that the demons are free. Roll credits.